boys and girls. Take a seat as we talk about Intro to College Math. So one of my big takeaways were student loans. At the start, I thought student loans were kind of this thing that you just paid. It was like $100 a month, and you paid it for like a year and then kind of over with. But going through the project where we had to total it and then look at especially the college that we're going to, which the college I'm going to is $60,000 a year. Looking at that and going through and totaling it and seeing how much I would have to pay, I took it a lot more seriously, especially when it comes to applying for scholarships and looking for other ways to pay for college externally, which I really appreciated it, and I feel like I got a different perspective and a more realistic layout of what my future could look like if I don't take costs like these seriously early on. Another big takeaway was how expensive the little things are. I remember when we were looking at one of our problems and we had to figure out the perimeter of a room and then figure out how much paint would cost. Kind of things like that are a little thing you wouldn't think about, like having to buy buckets of paint and then also having to double it because we're doing multiple coats. But looking at how things like that would be expensive, then even thinking about how much it would cost to paint a whole home and maybe take the costs like that seriously. Another thing I learned about was hidden fees, and the little fees that you wouldn't think about, especially when it comes to buying a home per se, is it's not just you're buying the flat rate of the $800,000 home, you're also looking at the fees that come with it, including like things like even your heating bill or your lighting bill. And then for my final takeaway, it was looking at like credit scores. Originally, once again, I thought credit scores were kind of just like a credit card even was just this thing which like kind of unlimited money, you could just spend it and there wouldn't be as many repercussions. But even looking at if you don't pay your bills on time with your credit card or you go over with your spending, it can lower the amount your credit score, and how having a low credit score can affect your day-to-day life. It can prevent you from buying a home, it can prevent you from getting a car, and how important things like a credit score even is, and especially how important it is to build credit and not just leave credit where it's at. Oh, hey. How I think you can improve this course for future students is by including more projects in the middle of the year. Towards the end of the year when we had all of our projects, it was a really fun time because I feel like I was learning and also seeing the importance of what I was learning. So I think for future students, including more would be great. Go.
My favorite field trip? Well, that was easily the JA Financial Park. Why? Well, when I went, I didn't really think much of it at first, but when I got to know it, it was just really awesome. I got to go through a simulation where I could imagine what my life would be like in the future. I decided to have a dog instead of a husband, and I got to have my home and my dream job as a lawyer, and going through to see how much little costs would be. So would I want to do streaming services or just have channels? So being able to go through and see what life was like and also budget was just so amazing. And then I also got to see what it was like to have car insurance and just a realistic layout of my life so I can have a better plan of what I want to do now. And I got to meet so many amazing people as well. One of my mentors is even an engineer who worked at Ford, and my plan is going into engineering in the future. So it was great to talk to a fellow woman in STEM who kind of knows what they're doing.
Hey, over here. Up, over, up, up. Hey, up. Hi. So for a few of the course experiences that really impacted my educational experience during Intro to College Math, my first one was probably the stock market analysis. Honestly, before we started the analysis, I didn't really know much about stocks or why we even bought them. I kind of thought they were like crypto in a way. And but actually doing the project and having to buy them, especially trying to go as close to $15,000 as we could, and then seeing how much money we'd accumulated over just a week really helped me understand the importance of stocks and even made me want to invest in them in the future. And I thought it was a really cool project as well. And I also, funny enough, tried to invest in a foreign market, which did not help me at all. I started with 10 cents because that's how much I paid. I ended with 11 cents. So I didn't really go up much. And then the second project that I feel like really impacted my experience was the Dream Home project. I didn't go too crazy with the cost of my house. I got an $800,000 house in Chicago, which is my dream city to live in. So it was really cool being able to do a project where I could kind of envision my life and also envision the expenses of my dream life, which was very important.
I honestly thought it was just kind of like you paid $800,000 and you were moving on after you bought the house, but understanding that if you don't pay it all up front, there are extra fees that you have to do because there's interest over time. And there's also additional fees, things like overdraft fees and the little things you don't think about. And even when you're a homeowner, you have to do your yard, you have to pay for people to come fix your house and stuff like that. So yeah, that's it. I am personally interested in building my FICO credit score because it plays a big role in my financial future. A FICO credit score is a 3-digit number ranging from 300 to 850 that tells lenders how reliable I am at paying debt. And according to Chapter 2, for Intro to College Math, having a higher score means I'm seen as a lower risk borrower, meaning they're more willing to give me the money that I want and the loans that I want. Which helps me qualify for better interest rates on loans, credit cards, and even things like car insurance and rental applications. In Chapter 3, it explains a little bit more of how credit scores are based off several factors, including pay history, amounts owed, the length of credit history, new debts, and more. For example, if I wanted to buy a car and take out around $15,000 in loans, a higher FICO score could save me thousands over a life of loans. A person with a 760 plus credit score might also get an interest rate of about 4%, while someone with a 620 credit score might get an interest rate of about 10%. And how I got my answers like this is I will put these on the screen next to me, but using simple interest calculations, which is interest equals P times R times T. And then to find the 4% interest over the 5 years, I calculated interest equals 15,000 times 0.04 times 5,000 and got my 3,000. And then for the 10% interest rate over 5 years, I multiplied 15,000 by 0.10 and then times 5, and then I got my 7,500. And it's important when doing these calculations that for your percentages, you move the decimal point. So instead of it being multiplying it by 5%, you're multiplying by 0.05. So in conclusion, building a stronger FICO score can now help me qualify for an apartment, get a lower car or student interest loan rate, and be approved for things like mortgages and even save money on interest. And that's why I plan to keep paying my bills on time and keep my credit card balances low and avoid taking on too much debt, which is all explained in Chapter 2 and 3 at Intro to College Math.